Paris Olympics have been garnering a lot of heavy criticism, generating a ton of controversy, and has pretty much been the main clusterfuck talking point of every single person on the internet. But truthfully, it does not seem to matter what side of the equation you are on. The Paris Olympics is tearing the world apart. I consider myself pretty political, and I do keep up with a lot of the politics of stuff, but there is something that hits close to home for us metalheads that came from the Paris Olympics that was just the cherry on top to the complete dumpster fire, wrapped in barbed wire, thrown off of a cliff into an acid vat. That was the Paris Olympics, both as a cultural statement, a political statement, and everything in between.
Honey, are you in there?
Yes, dear.
Honey, it's time for your daily dose of satanic panic.
God, I feel like a broken record. Why does this keep happening? You gotta understand a little bit of the context of where the whole Paris Olympics controversy is coming from. Politically, it has been a massive optical failure for a lot of different groups and movements, and has set a lot of progress back just because of the obtuse nature that they put everything on full display and made it so over the top. It is very gratuitous. I don't really like it, and that's coming from someone that generally supports most of what the Paris Olympics supports. It was just done in the most placating, virtue signaling way possible, and I don't really like it that much. Like, the first thing I thought was, like, this isn't the serve of the century that you think it is. It is not the crown jewel moment, the defining moment that's going to make the pendulum shift to the other direction and boom, we're gonna live in a utopia. No, it just kind of was fucking stupid. It was idiotic, it was unnecessary. But that kind of set the stage for a lot of the polarization that Gojira would bring, because you already had a lot of pearl clutchers, and that's coming from a Christian, online, saying that Paris Olympics was literally a bunch of people acting as the harbingers of Satan himself and servicing him as a vessel of pure ire and spite and hatred to the world and trying to spread the satanic agenda, which, number one, it's not that deep, and number two, it's fucking pearl clutching. We've been there, done that. Everyone knows that no group loves to get their panties in a bunch over anything that they deem as immoral more than religious people. Where does Gojira fit into all of this? Well, Gojira did a performance, and it has been sending the metal world into a frenzy, and not the only ones that got sent into a frenzy. The rest of the internet that were already sort of riding the high horse of this self-righteousness and anti-satanistic agenda that they were pushing, they were ripped up into a rabid frenzy like a fucking werewolf with rabies. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Asaira or Asaira, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there is a song that was released about the French Revolution. Gojira performed that. Interviews with the bassist of Gojira thereafter basically confirmed that they wanted to do a performance that showed what metal was all about and to show the gritty history of what they were trying to perform. Now, I get it. Every detractor of metal is always going to think that you are like the second coming of the fucking Antichrist. Like, in the space-time continuum of metal, that seems to be the predominant talking point no matter what time period you are referring to. But funnily enough, it was very political, but it was in no way religious, and Gojira aren't really religious one way or another. I mean, at least to my knowledge. But what they have been is they have been political, and they have tried to sort of spark that outrage about certain atrocities, and they put a lot of politicism inside of their music, like any band usually does. And considering that it was the Paris Olympics, it writes itself. An Asaira is a 19th century French anthem, along with an actor playing the beheaded Marie Antoinette, and some online commentators characterize the performance as satanic. I'm gonna kill myself. Alright guys, we lost the war. Pack it in. Marie Antoinette getting beheaded is satanic. But in terms of the haters, this did not do what they thought it was going to do. Gojira, if I am saying this correctly, I believe has shot up 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify alone, which is like unfathomable for any metal genre or really any project to just have that uptick so drastically in that upward trajectory, let alone a band as heavy as Gojira. Like, I don't know what to say. They have always shown the atrocities and the grittiness, the grimness of the world. And you would think by now, with all the controversies that have happened to metal recently, that these idiots would figure out that it is not doing what they think think it is doing for them. Whether you're talking about the Michael Knowles ghost drama, the Gojira drama, Cannibal Corpse recently being like canceled on Twitter, which I made a whole video about, it seems like this ongoing trend that you are trying to shoot at metal without knowing anything of the culture. And you know, there are plenty of metal bands that do have a lot of satanic imagery, sort of as like a method of interpreting their storytelling. People that are not theistic whatsoever using that as a symbol of their music, or just bands that are heavily anti-Christian. But Gojira is not really the band you want to point your anger towards. And personally, I don't think that this would have gotten nearly as much publicity and as much controversy if it wasn't for everything else that happened. That is the one thing that I can kind of say in the sort of in favor of the haters, in quotes, is the people that truly do believe that the Paris Olympics was some massive political statement made to praise Satan and to destroy the world and all humility, whatever you want to fucking say, when they already have a lot of reasons in their eyes optically to believe that they are doing this, when you immediately follow that up with all of what Gojira did with the beheading, with the flames, with their music, with it being like extreme metal in many ways, when you have a point, you are going to grasp at straws and use anything to sort of validate your claims. It's going to be sort of this momentum, this snowball effect, where if you think that you are right about something, you are going to be looking for anything that can point in that direction. And when you already believe that the Paris Olympics are evil, Gojira, outside looking in, do look pretty fucking evil, but they are very much at the same level in many ways in terms of like Grammy nominations and numbers and stuff as bands like Metallica and Pantera. Maybe not as big as those names, but they're one of the biggest metal bands, so it's saying something that they got this sort of attention. But I'd be willing to bet a solid 70 to 80%, and maybe I'm being conservative with that, and maybe the number is higher, of the people criticizing Gojira and saying that this was all some ploy to praise Satan or whatever. I personally think that they don't know jack shit about metal, nor Gojira, nor the song that they sung, nor its historical relevancy, because these people don't have talking points. They don't have any sort of smart politicism. They don't know the history they're talking about. They don't care to know the history they're talking about. They live in the moment, they live in the now, and all they want to do is just use a bunch of buzzwords to try to talk down to their political opponents, and anything that doesn't fit their criteria of their worldview, it's automatically going to be immoral and evil, and it's going to have all these fancy little adjectives thrown their way to try to denounce them, to try to make them look lesser than, to make them look inferior, morally reprehensible, and contributing to the downfall of Western civilization. Just stop sucking your own dick. But what are your guys' opinions of the Gojira controversy? You can let me know down in the comment section below. Can't wait to hear it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.